KSI versus Logan Paul, part 2, the rematch. Here is the Realest breakdown. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang, notification gang. Please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. I'm an affiliate, so it does help the channel. Now, KSI Logan Paul, let's talk about it. I want to give the Realest breakdown, give my thoughts. I did a live stream immediately after, but those are kind of hard because people come in and, you know, talk, leave comments. So sometimes staying focused is hard. So I want to give my thoughts. You know, I'll start off by saying shout out to KSI Logan Paul just for risking it, you know, risking reputation and putting all the line. They both have major fan bases, 40, 50 million subscribers and followers combined, you know, and they risked it to entertain and take their brand to the next level. So I give them credit for that. They laced them up. It wasn't the cleanest fight. It was definitely sloppy in spots. I think the fight played out kind of how I thought. You can immediately, just to put this out there, because KSI made a comment, said he feels he's good enough where he can beat pro fighters. I think that's far-fetched. He's definitely far out. You also fought another inexperienced guy, wrestler, athlete, but boxing is just its own sport. So we have to put stuff in perspective. So I don't see KSI or Logan Paul beating anybody, especially around the division that they fought, based on how they fought. You get what I'm saying? I don't see them beating like named guys or anything at this moment. You know, if they keep up with it, then, you know, who knows? But at this moment, I don't agree with what KSI said there. But two inexperienced guys, they did what they could do. They laced them up, and they got a bag for it. So it is what it is. But walking out, I kind of felt that Logan Paul, he looked a little bit weary. He looked a little bit nervous, you know, and boxing will do that to you because you can be, you know, a performer or a content creator and know how to get in front of a camera, but when you lace them up, I'm sure your nerves are bad. You feel your heart racing. You know, it's just a different feeling. So both guys are used to being in front of the camera and performing, entertaining, and gaming and doing skits and stuff like that. But to me, Logan Paul looked a little bit nervous walking out. He was like trying to calm his nerves and stuff like that, but he knew what type of fight, you know, what it was. I thought from the walkout and stuff, KSI looked a lot calmer, and there were a couple times where they showed them in the back locker room, and Logan Paul, he was like, it was almost like nervous energy. He was like looking at the camera and kept looking and like playing games and stuff. But you seen KSI, he was just laying down, looked like he was watching TV, or maybe perhaps watching the rest of the card on the TV in the locker room. So that's just before the fight even started. It looked to me like KSI was the calmer of the two. Maybe he's been training longer. I don't know all the full backstory about the guy. I thought for this particular fight, there's a lot of people who happen to have different opinions and varying opinions, and I've even seen some people say Logan got robbed. I didn't see that. KSI won via split decision. I thought it was the right decision, and in my opinion, I don't even think it really had to be a split decision. I don't think the fight was that hard to score, you know. I don't think it was hard to score, and I definitely think KSI won the fight. In my opinion, KSI, he just seemed throughout most of the fight like he wanted it more. He was willing to take more risks, more gambles. His style was a bit wild, sloppy at times, but that awkwardness and that wild, like charging and swinging for the fences, some of the stuff was connecting or partially connecting. He just looked like he had a little bit more grit. The first early, like I would say the first 2 rounds, you seen KSI is almost like a raw, like unrefined, like a non-refined kind of like Maidana. He's throwing like crazy, like trying to take Logan's head off. And at one point, you're watching the first 2 rounds, you're like, man, is he going to be able to sustain this? What type of shape is he in? Is he even into? Because he's throwing bombs and stuff. and you got your heart rate and adrenaline and stuff like that. But to the credit to both, Logan Paul looked like he gassed out with the headgear. They look like they trained and took the conditioning seriously. So I appreciate that, you know, because the first fight, Logan Paul looked gassed out. He fought with no headgear and he went more rounds and he didn't look gassed out. And KSI was throwing like haymakers and throwing wild and throwing and missing wild. And, you know, he was able to win the fight and be still standing and still be aggressive in the final round even. So I thought KSI was definitely well conditioned. Logan was conditioned better as well. And KSI, he started it. Logan Paul to me was too gun shy, too tentative. He's a big dude, and I think his game plan, especially being a brand new boxer coming, should have been use his height. And see, a lot of people get boxing confused. They look at the guy that looks like the bodybuilder and assume like he has real deal power. I don't know. I don't know if Logan Paul has real deal power. Maybe he does. But the way he was throwing and he was like kind of pushing with his punches, it almost looked like what Kovalev was doing the week before with Canelo. It looked like he didn't have an authoritative jab. I think him being the taller, you know, bigger, buffer, more massy guy, he should have worked on the 1-2, just a simple 1-2. And if he could have had more of a snappy jab in those early goings, all that wild shit would have calmed down, because ain't nobody trying to get their head rocked back, you know, with a jab, a well placed. There's different types of jabs. You got up jabs and different tempos on the jab and stuff like that. So I think they should have worked with Logan Paul. First of all, to me, Logan Paul doesn't, like, his body type doesn't look like, it looks like he's training for a Creed movie. You know, a Creed movie has a camera crew. You can do takes and stuff like that. But that's what it looked like. It didn't look like he was getting in like necessarily fight shape. Like, how much weight did he cut? That type of stuff. So he looked too, like, almost like too big, like kind of like an Anthony Joshua, just looked too stiff, too big, like not as agile and, you know, cat-like to be in there. So it looked like he was pushing his punches. I think he should have, instead of the aesthetics and like looking so big and worried about how big you are, just worried about being lean. And like you look at someone like Van Damme, it's hard to tell, but you look at someone like Jean-Claude Van Damme, who was ripped and buff, but he was also super athletic and still cat-like, bah, you know, like, come on. Like, he was still more agile. Logan Paul looked like a big lug, you know what I'm saying? And he was like pushing, like Kovalev, just kind of pushing with his punches and stuff like that in them early rounds. So I gave KSI a lot of the early rounds. And then I think it was round 3 where KSI was like really aggressive. Logan was kind of backing up. He was pretty gun shy the first 2 rounds. And then KSI kept shooting the right, like Maidana, you know, Maidana before he got with Robert Garcia. And then he ended up getting caught. And then KSI kind of stepped back, and then Logan Paul was falling to his knees and tried to grab KSI's legs. And Jack Reese did what he did in the Wilder fight with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, and he made a bad call because it was clearly a knockdown from what I seen, and they showed it in replay, and you can see it's clearly a knockdown, and it connected. There was no foul committed after, like when Logan Paul would later knock down KSI, and Jack Reese missed it and said, "Oh, you were pushed down. You were pushed down." You know, boxing really needs to get an instant replay going, so things like this don't happen. You know, or get you know, a second ref or someone like challenge a play from the corner. You know, like they do in football, how you can challenge the ruling on the field. They need to get something like that because it was clearly a knockdown. And even post fight, they're looking at it with Shannon Briggs and Logan Paul and watching the iPad playback or whatever. And Shannon Briggs was like, "Oh yeah, miss, see, you missed." And they're like, "All right, we're gonna show you it from another angle." And they showed it from a better angle where you can see head on. And then Briggs is like, miss. And they're like explaining their way through it. And then on the second angle, you can see a punch clearly landed. And Logan Paul and Shannon Briggs all of a sudden didn't say anything. So it's like they knew that, okay, damn, that was a knockdown. You know what I'm saying? Because before, Logan was kind of, oh, he pushed me down. And then when they showed that second angle, they really just didn't say anything. Trainer Briggs, and then Logan Paul. So they didn't really contest it once they seen it from that secondary angle. So it really was a knockdown, and he didn't get credit for it. Later in the fight, Logan Paul lands a buttery uppercut, but him being an inexperienced fighter, new to this boxing, he should have backed up and let the opponent. Gravity's going to take care of that, and then let KSI fall. It looked like he just caught KSI lunging in reckless, and he caught him with a nice uppercut, you know, and he got a little bit overzealous and rushed his work. Then he used his left hand and put it over his head and proceeded to uppercut like you would do in a street fight, maybe, you know, or you see like when you see like, even, I'm not trying to roast, I'm just saying, like when you see women fight and one girl grabs the other girl's hair and then she's like holding her, hitting her, bop, 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 bop. And that's an instinctual thing that some people maybe do, but boxing has a different rule set. So Logan Paul's best power punch, he in essence ruined it for himself because he got too like hyped off of it and basically gloved the back of his head and held him in position while he's like, you know, punching him with another uppercut and hitting him and pushing him in the back of the head, which is an illegal punch, as he went down. So, and he did a couple punches. So when KSI got up, his brain was rattled, like he was buzzed, and he was like stumbling a bit and whatnot, and he was buzzed. And Jack Reese was like, calm down, I got this. And then when it was all like settled, Jack Reese says, give him credit for a knockdown, but then also take 2 points. So that really messed up things for Logan Paul, because he could have had a 10-8 round clean, but then it became an 8-8 round because your 10-8 round, you now have 2 points deducted. So it's an 8-8 round. So some people like this YouTube era and a lot of the people that are following, that round is basically now a draw because not that much time happened. So he didn't really, nothing else really impactful happened to make it a 9-8 round or anything. So that round was basically a draw. You get what I'm saying? And then, you know, it's funny that the DAZN commentary is just so horrible. I think it was round 3. The DAZN commentator said KSI really needs to land something of importance. Otherwise, the last couple rounds are going to be hard for him. And I thought he was clearly winning the fight. And then it's so funny that they don't know what they're talking about so much that they said that. He said KSI needs to land something big. And right after they said it, go watch the telecast. Right after they said it, KSI drops, but he didn't get credit for it. As I mentioned, KSI drops Logan Paul. So it's like they can't even break down fights or what's going on. But anyway, Logan Paul, his knockdown, it was buttery, but he jumped on it too much. And then he held the back of his head and kept hitting. We've seen this with another inexperienced pro boxer turning pro, and that was Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, I don't know what you're thinking. When he fought Floyd Mayweather, I covered that fight. He was doing the same thing, putting one glove at the back of his head. This is not the MMA. You can't do that. You can't, like, you know, hold them in position and whap, 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 whap. Just like if someone, you can't measure somebody with the jab. You can't just stick your arm out, you know, and hold it as a rangefinder and just leave it staying out there and then use your other hand to hit him. You know, you're not able to measure opponents. You're not able to hold them where you want their head and then, you know, keep whapping them, whap, bop, bop, bop. So Logan Paul messed that up for himself, and it became an 8-8 round. Anyway, end of the fight. I think after the knockdown thing, KSI's legs might not have been the best. So after that even round, I think it was round 4 or whatever, KSI was a little bit apprehensive. He didn't want to do too much. It looked like his legs might not have fully been there. And I thought Logan Paul's best round was round 5. Nothing extraordinary, but I thought KSI was too tentative. But then round 6 came and KSI got a second win and he was aggressive again, you know. So to me, KSI just went out there, showed more heart. And, you know, people are going to complain about the 2-point deduction. I seen Logan Paul say, hey, the ref never warned me. The boxing rules, the ref has that type of discretion. I've seen it time and time again. If you low blow someone and it's bad, it's a bad foul, they don't have to warn you, or sometimes they'll just take the point, you know. And if you, the thing is, it looked bad because you had a clean shot and momentum was probably carrying him to fall, but then you were inexperienced, so you were so hyped from the moment that you wanted to make sure he went down. You had, sometimes in boxing you got to take that subtle step back. Let them fall on their own. Step back. Your step back game got to improve. You know, he would have failed on his own, or he was already rocked, and then you could have maybe hooked him and knocked him out, you know, stuff like that. But again, this is what happens when you have inexperienced guys. So he kind of messed up his own moment in that particular moment. So to me, it wasn't really a hard score fight. Like, it wasn't a hard fight to score. Like, I've seen some fights. There was a lot of wild stuff, slap boxing and like sloppy stuff as well. Like the inside, neither guy, which is what I expected, neither guy had like this crazy inside phone booth fight game. Like in the clinches, they were hitting each other in the back of the head. So that stuff was a little bit chippy and a little bit rough. But, you know, I'm not going to overly critique them. They tried, they laced them up, and, you know, they went for it. And that's more than a lot of people can say, most people would say. So it is what it is. But I thought the right person won. Logan Paul, just the game plan was weird. I mean, he's coming out, even in the early rounds, round one, I don't know who taught him the style or said this is the style you should use. KSI always looked like kind of like energetic and rambunctious, aggressive style. Even in the first fight, he was throwing wild and like fastball type punches. And Logan Paul had his hands at his waist like he's Roy Jones or Sergio Martinez. I never really understood why he had his hands so low. And I think part of it was maybe he's too big. Like, you know, he's not like in fight shape. He's in, I look good for the camera aesthetically, you know, like I said, like you're trying to be on a Creed movie or something. But this is real boxing. And I just think Logan Paul was too gun shy in those early goings. I think KSI should have had the knockdown. And then Logan Paul had a great knockdown with a power shot, like one of the first real power shots where he connected, where he let his hand go with the uppercut, but then he like kind of squandered it by fouling, you know. So a learning lesson. After the fight, KSI said he's done with Logan Paul. They kind of had like made amends a little bit, and, you know, that was really it. So that's the realest breakdown. People want to know my thoughts on the fight, and I'll spend some time with it. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know what you guys thought of it. Was it good for boxing? Was it bad? I'll let you guys discuss that in the comment section. Who did what? Who got robbed? Who won? All that stuff. If you love what I'm doing, smash the like button. We working. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.